Hey there, everybody. You're ready to get a little bit more work done on brainstorming, researching, and outlining things for Nano? Bring your questions. Myself in the audience is going to get you focused and get you what you need to do. Let's rock it. Hello there, reboot. Hello there, everybody. Now that I've gotten my stumbles and my mutterings out, my name is Jenna O'Malley. I am your soul writer, author of sci-fi fantasy with dashes of romance and nerdy references, and I'm here to help you get to some Phoenix mode in your writing today. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing great. We're going to go ahead and kind of workshop while we work. I used to do this a lot whenever I was actually an English teacher. We would have a day where the kids could come in and just work and pick people's brains, and so it's going to be a little chatty. It's going to be a little intense focus session, but we're here to have you for it and to enjoy the chats and things. Hello there, my friends. I see Jody Jean and Mel are all in reverse order. Jody Jean and Mel are here. Glad to have you both here. I hope everything is going well and is going great. I'm not going to keep us open with the opening too much longer, other than to say now is the perfect time to go ahead and get your stuff together. Now's the time to get settled in. Now's the time to, hey, I have something I need help with. Start typing it in the chat. This is definitely a time for you to be like, I need help deciding somebody's character name, or researching a place where to set this thing in, or keyword help for researching scientific and or mechanical stuff. You can ask all that stuff in chat and bounce it off our brains as a collective. Hello, Rita. Hello, Sarah. Great to have you here. Copy time and editing. I like how you think. Your mind is definitely among one of the greats in that line of thought. Mel, having a hard time coming up with a name for your antagonist. So for me with names, I have a couple of questions. Do you need it to be a period name, like in a specific time period? If so, check census data. Literally, census data for names in Scotland, 1665 is how we ended up with one of my characters getting a rather normal name as Christian. And I'm like, that was a really popular name in Scotland at one time, but I found out that a lot of them went by the nickname of Ian, because you would see like Christian Ian and then their clan name. And I'm like, oh. So that way they kind of had like an English name and a familial name a little bit. Is that in play? I'm not sure which story you're writing on is why I ask. And I know you have some ancient Byzantine Empire stuff going on. So I'm like, do we need a cultural name? Do we need census data? Do we need fantasy name generator? That thing's really helpful. If you Google literally fantasy name generator, one of the top 5 picks will be pretty much what you need. Modern name North America. So that could be anything from British, European roots to African roots. So modern name, not Absidy. I do not recommend this name. Yes, it is a name. If StreamYard will let me type and send. StreamYard, do you live? Jill is a good example. It's not letting me message you guys. I'll have to go and grab my YouTube chat box then. But ABCDE is a name, and it's pronounced Absidy. Every girl I've taught with this name goes by the nickname Abby. So pick names wisely applies here. Fantasy name generator sites can be very, very helpful. Cheesecake Man, hello, lurking, preferably lurking while driving. And yes, Haley, we are going to indeed rock. So, and I'm going to leave this one hang here. Modern name suggestions would be what? I'm going to go ahead and toss up a Sprint banner, maybe. All right, there we go. So we're going to go ahead and get into our first sprint. If you have any other questions or any answers to the one that Mel was putting in there, I was just about to say, does gender matter here? So sprint 1, drop any questions you have. We need a North American male name for Mel, and I'll see y'all here in about 25. Alrighty, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and pause the timer there. We're actually not going to do just 5 minutes, so we'll take it back to the beginning. There's a lot of good chatting going on in the chat box. So, originally, Mel had put in a request for a modern male name from North America. I did go ahead and also drop into chat the name lookup tables for US Census data. So this is a really good resource because don't forget, like around the early 1900s, you're going to have a large influx of Irish people. So if you're looking for like Irish last names, if you know those dates of migratory stuff historically, use it to your benefit for looking up, if you get what I mean. Let's see. Other suggestions or questions was the fantasy name generator. This, Inca. Oh my goodness, your character names are just... The good thing about Victorian names is you've heard of them, you just don't remember the last time you've heard of them. I'm thinking more common Victorian names like Archibald made a huge spike in the Victorian era that it really hasn't seen before or since. You see what I mean? But they're not horrible names like Rhiannon Fudge. Her first name was probably really popular around 150 years ago, and now it's starting to see a resurgence. You see what I mean? So you can track patterns for names with that too. Devin, you too shall lack while you clean. Should be editing, and you've been doing a lot of it lately, so you got to take care of editing your life a little bit with the cleaning right now, and that's okay. Rachel's also here, trying to force yourself into the revisions. Closed all the apps, shut down all the distractions in the office. Love it. Let us know what we can do to help. We're going to do one more really highly focused sprint after we catch up on some other questions and things. I had put in a request into chat for suggestions of just channel names, not necessarily links, but because I can look up the channel names. You see what I mean? And I'm also intrigued to see what the associated suggestions are for the channel names. That's why I went that route too. For YouTube, Spotify, or iHeartRadio's channels or options, I'm looking to get something that's not what I've been listening to for the Myrna Annals. It's okay if it's the same band. I don't want it to be the same song, if that makes sense, because I don't want to confuse myself too much aesthetically on which world am I in and start confusing character personas and stuff, if you get what I mean. So for the revisions, Rachel, how are they going? My friend Rita suggested Spotify. For more so with the writing, YouTube, lots. Viking, yes, you have a lot of Viking and Celtic options. Ambient Pagan Folk, okay. You like Artemis? Okay, I didn't know you were into Artemis. We got to have a chat about music. Oh my goodness. You could go on. You're always finding new ones. Love it. Thank you very much for the love on the like button there. Rita, how much is too much for details of setting and description? You're finding overwhelming in one of your series. They are vital to the plot because, so some of this is genre specific. Compared to whatever your comparables would be, like for me, I legit admit that some people will probably feel like they're reading J.R. Ward meets George R.R. Martin. You know, you got smarmy humor with a lot of detail on occasion. So maybe that's something to look into. What are your comps like? Are there other authors doing similar things that you could kind of give yourself a gauge based on or a radar based on? You have images of them, but you're not certain how much to share with the reader. Again, this would kind of also go into even what your expected audience member or reader would be. So I don't think a lot of us do this innately or intentionally when we're in the first couple of years of writing our books, but maybe sitting down and asking yourself, what does your ideal reader look like age-wise? Things like that can kind of help lead to these decisions, because high-end description, and I'm saying this because I taught developmental reading for several years. With younger readers, description can increase what's called your lexile score. If that goes up, normally your age and maturity level, not always goes up. But keep that in mind. And I say that not always because we know we have people who love to read middle grade and young adult who aren't in either category. And there's no shame in that. So says the chick who likes to read manga in her 30s. Anyway, Jody Jean, yay! 4 more to go. 4 more to go. RC Metal. Pumpkin Metal. Hello, it's good to see you. Your brain refuses to function. So, like, do we need music? Do we need a walk? Do we need to reread any notes that are previously written? Is there a question we can help you with? To redirect. Rita, you get a little lost with the prepositions, and you use articles, the and a lot. Gotcha. So the trick with prepositions is normally there's an easier way to say it. For example, that house on the other side of the street. Can you make the sentence make sense without the of statement? Like normally, if something is taking possession of something else, you can rephrase it to use an apostrophe instead of the of phrasing is normally the trick there. Not sure if that would help. No errors. Name depending on their age. I'd start with a letter. Ooh, that's a good choice too. Baby name sites with the specific letter. I didn't think to go there. Devin, your MC's name was involved. Is it? Yes, Amabel is named after the flower, meaning amiable. And she's not. Yes. See, this was what was so funny about my character Neftiri's name. The Tiri part means princess or goddess, depending on which characters are used with it. And she doesn't want to be either. Definitely applies. So yes. Sometimes a name becomes a definition of something someone does not want to be. And thank goodness for find and replace. Just saying. It'll help with a couple of the things we're chatting about in here. Replacing of statements, replacing names, especially if you decide to change the spelling of the name twice. Thanks, Magdalena. Anyway, Rita, high fantasy could have pages. Yes. I mean, when we think of high fantasy, we think of, Gandalf, Lord of the Rings for a reason. We think of stuff that is meant to make your brain fall in love with the poetics of writing, but in a prose format is how a professor once worded it to me. And I'm like, he's not wrong. Which is why I think books like Lord of the Rings never truly get properly translated to screen because of all this. Where do you start, right? Find and replace is a lifesaver. For sure. Change of music always helps me. See, that's why I was asking my question earlier, because I noticed that I was listening to one band and I'm like, wait a minute. I can't use this for Micah because I use it for another character and they're nothing alike. And yeah, I don't want them to be alike. So requesting the box set of... Okay. My husband and I have been trying to limit ourselves to stretch out the 12 episodes that is season 1 of My Happy Marriage, because we know season 2 is coming out. It's not lasting long. We will probably finish that sucker in the next week or so. Lord Pluto. Anyway, he's rolling his eyes at me as he's driving, isn't he? Rita, yes. And you know what? I bet your story is looking amazing. You've been working so hard on it here lately, my friend. Rachel, co-author, and you. I remember you saying this in another chat. Oops. Now, are you at risk of getting sued for it if they're also common names? I.e., if you have a character who's named like Bethany and Jonathan. You see what I mean? They're pretty common names. Question mark? Okay, I have not watched all of the new, so yeah, he admits that ain't happening. We're probably it all started because we watched what, Todorora? Was that the one we watched? And then this one was suggested. So we see where all of us get our love of animes and the fantasy romance. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go into a second sprint. Any questions you need, let us know. Anything we can do to help you in the chat to swap and get you going. If you're feeling stuck, let us know. All right. See you in 25. Alrighty, everybody, let's go ahead and get into a wrap up and a wind down. Make sure you're leaving any notes for future you while we work through the comments, and that you're saving your work as we're wrapping up. So for Rachel, not common and they are in the same team. Starfire. Oh, yes. Us lover of Teen Titans would be like, hey, you. We know that name. Rita had the local greenhouse called, the Shire. Yeah. This is the kind of stuff I ran into issues with my book. I have an Eden Abbey that isn't that Eden Abbey. So I got to possibly change the name of Ian's home place. I don't know if I'm going to or not. At current, I haven't. So, trademark, though? There might be a trademark on this because there's video games and things that are spin-offy that are all about just the Shire. So, ooh, I see why you changed it. Starfire is actually the name Rachel has for a male dragon. Oh, gotcha. You doubt that DC would find him acceptable when he's teamed up with a half vampire named Raven. Yeah, DC kind of does work to not put that couple together because they call it fan canon. So, yeah, I hear ya. Oh, thank you, my friend. Yes, I actually have limited spots available at this time. So if you want to go ahead and check out my website, because I consolidated a couple of links down to where they were kind of stacked under each other. So if you go up to my website and hover over where it says new structure, my old structures are just tucked under there then. So thank you for reminding me to put that up there, Mel. Thank you. You actually love little Easter eggs. See, that's where I'm at. That's why I have the, dashes of romance and nerdy references. If you get the references in my book, yes, I'm also considering making a treasure hunt for this. So that could be another cool thing that for like Kickstarters and things, that if we include those nods to the nerdy and the cool and the whatnot and the fandom, I wonder if we could get away with, like crossword puzzles and word searches and stuff like that. That's note to me. Dawn changed her character's name from Raven to Morgan. There you go. Her daughter's name is Morgana, so it kind of works. And now Seth for Seth Green. It's not it will take time. And it would be something to ask your beta readers, hey, if you see a stray, one or these, highlight it kind of things, right? But in other avenues, it's worth it, though. So definitely kudos to you for going that far with it. Rita's love of Celtic lore is quite present and question about chapter lengths. Maple River, you're drafting it. First chapter is 4,100, and the next chapter was 4,800. Splitting that chapter in two, just need to figure out where. Sometimes a cliffhanger pause. We know how Sarah likes her cliffhangers, right? Cliffhanger pauses are totally good in the beginning because it gives the reader the choice. Hey, if life is making you pause, here's a natural place to do it, versus just letting them continue if they decide. One more chapter leads to 3 a.m. for a reason. Let's see here. Oh, what? I'm going to wait for StreamYard to stop jumping for a minute. Okay. Now that I have about 10 more, then I realized, wow. BC, hello! Ignoring chores to write and work on cover art. Glad to have you here. How'd it go? Anything we can help with? Rachel, you have to learn to stop being so wordy. For me, that's revision me's problem. The other thing I've started doing is just writing. If I know there's more than one person physically talking, I just write all the dialogue first and then go back and add in the stuff in between. That has helped me a lot. That is why Ian's eyes aren't showing up 300 times a book, I think. Back to editing. Your kids can finish the kitchen. Yay! BC. Some of us are just chaotic overwriters. Just saying. It's hard to learn how to curb oneself. Yes, it takes time. Melissa, going to call an and tag Ace, but that's not his real name. Could it be like, because my brain goes to Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, whenever someone says Ace, and that's also my husband's one friend's online gamer name. So I'm like, okay, what could it be short for? And then my mind's also going to, remember H? They spelled it AECH from Ready Player One. It was supposed to be the pronunciation of a letter, but spelled out phonetically. And it was short for their real name. I think her name was actually Helen, but she played a dude in game, so she just went by H, if that makes sense. Is it one of those situations? Same part of the revision process for sure. Yup. That's exactly what you started doing. Dialogue and dialogue tags only, and then add in what you need later. Exactly. Rita, in the beginning of the chapter, you have very little dialogue, mainly narrative with the MC, and jot it down on a sticky note. Add instructions from drama teacher. That's a good note. That's a good note. Like, seriously, I probably have mentioned them before, but if you are not watching a channel on YouTube called Cinema Therapy, some of you know the internet, the dads of the internet. Cinema Therapy is literally a therapist and a film director who are like high school best buddies. They rip movies apart to the nth level in ways that have my brain saying things like that. Add in instructions from blank. Or like some of my notes, and Devin's probably giggling because I think Devin and I have talked about this scene before, maybe. In a previous chat. I know somebody and I have talked about this in a public chat somewhere. Might be Devin, might be Rachel. They were talking about Vision from the scene where Vision picks up Thor's hammer. They could have told you millions of paragraphs and given you a whole movie to give Vision's origin story, but they told you everything you needed to know about this one dude because he picked up a hammer. Why go through the words, right? So that's the kind of notes I like to give myself of, is there a Vision way to do this? Is there a easy, simple, highly connective and relatable to the audience way to get this message across without having to do much heavy lifting at all? Pun implied. Devin's an underwriter. He uses a lot of filler words, is what we call them. They are not useless. They have their place. We Americans tend to put them where we don't always need them, kind of like verbal pauses. A lot of people who tend to not say things like and tend to throw in does, that, ands, ors, buts everywhere in their language. Just something I noticed with teaching public school and doing speech, speech practice things. Rita, Mel, that is a strong name. It sure is. It sure is. You're very welcome for the support. An overwriter for sure, getting better at removing the important words. For me, words are precious. I don't want to let them go. And once I get past that pain, I'm fine. Thank you for stopping in, my friends. It's good to see you for sure. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you. And Rachel, you would love to go by that advice on overwriting. See, there you go. You get better in the sandbox the longer you spend in the sandbox. Maybe once you I was talking to about them and geeking out with them, maybe Rachel, maybe. Derek Arundel to Derek Whitlock. And your first round of beta said, let it go, let it go. This is why we need people in our group who are not just yes men and yes women. You need a WTF are you doing flash mob once in a while. Just saying. And that's why I love doing what I do for these lives as well. I like not only being both, but working with you all to receive in return. Now, these workshops are going away next month. It's a nano month. So what does that mean? Soul Care Sundays are back. So on November 5th, we're going to do our first episode. And then November 19th, it'll be around the 1 o'clock time frame. We do have some new and some old friends joining us. And the first one is on feeling the fear, writing it anyway. This is a writer confessional on failure and restarting. And then the 19th is giving thanks, because here in the United States, it'll be Thanksgiving week. I thought this is appropriate. Ways to give back to my readers and fellow writers, a question and answer session on realigning your work to grow on social media. So some of these topics I think are going to be a lot of fun and quite enjoyable. I look forward to spending time with all of you. Thank you for being here for a no man. Yes, I often have to deal with being told no. And I adore Soul Care Sundays. I can't wait to get back to having all the fun times with everybody. And until then, until our next live, see you later. Tracy, the revised writer for Heart Breathings, is about to start here, I think, at the 3 o'clock hour. So if you are in the mood to keep what you started here going, go ahead and check out the Heart Breathings calendar, of course. But as always, there's the general authortube from tinyurl.com. So take care of yourselves. I know you're worth it. Thanks for being here. Bye.